Joy in my heart. Good morning. Well, thank you for joining us on this wet, rainy day, of which we have many of. Do we have anyone celebrating with us for the first time? Just good friends. If you have a cell phone with you, please see that it is turned off or on silent so it doesn't disturb this morning's service. Our guest reader this morning is Amy Jo. The guest musicians are Kathy and Mo. And our speaker is Dr. Maurita. Amy Jo?
Good morning. Thank you to Mo for letting me borrow some readers, or I wouldn't be able to read this morning. Okay. Man is one with God, that they also may be one in us. I and my Father are one. That's John 17, verse 21. Since there is but one substance, one mind, one life, I must be in eternal unity with that one that is all in all. I now see and feel God's closeness to me, my nearness to God. So near am I to God that I know it is God that girdeth me with strength and maketh my way perfect. It is God that lives me, thinks me, moves me, for God is my very breath and life. The universe is all one. The same source and cause begets all and holds all within itself. We see unity. In the consciousness of oneness, I realize that the life of the whole, the strength of the all, the love, understanding, and power of the truth belong to each member of the universal family, belong to you, belong to me. I am one with all good. I see, think, and speak with the good. I see this good now taking form in the commonest event of my day. And that's from Fannie B. James.
Thank you, Amy Jo, for that reading. Our first hymn this morning is number 17. This is my Father's world, verses 1 and 2. That is number 17, verses 1 and 2.
Thank you. Our Bible verse this morning is from Matthew 23:9. Call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father, which is in heaven. Now, Jesus grew up in a society that was not just male-oriented, it was male-dominated. Hierarchy of males ruled everywhere, from the highest down to the simplest family. And so his vision of God, his relationship with God, was as of a wonderful father. A father, well, that he had such a connection with, such a feeling of oneness with, that, of course, he used that energy, he used that spiritual focus to leave us a hierarchy of ideas, of truths that we use today, that we benefit from today, that we're blessed this very day. Now, that's all well and good if you had a wonderful father. And Joseph must have been a wonderful person, wonderful man, a spiritual man. However, if you didn't have a wonderful father, that could begin to grate a bit. Our Father, who art in heaven. But we have to remember one thing, and I love a quote of David Hawkins, who said, you need to remember the intrinsic innocence of people, that they don't know any better, or that they couldn't have done it any differently, or they would have. So when you look through that kind of a lens, you realize the humanity, the fallibility, the fragility of the human being. I loved my father and he loved me. He was a wonderful father to me to the very best of his ability, but he had flaws, and there were things that didn't go quite as well as they might have. But as we are able to look past our own personal opinions and our own personal experiences, then we see that what Jesus' view of Father was so vast and so powerful, so all-encompassing and so real and so loving, that we can draw that from his words. Call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father, which is in heaven. He was saying that each and all of us are related to, are connected with an omnipresent force, a love, a wisdom and a knowledge, a power that is so beyond what the human brain can hold, that we have been endowed, we have been blessed to be able to look past any father that may or may not have done the very best in life, and behold that I am connected to that. That is my Father. That is my creative force. That force that made me, that lifted me out of nothingness into complete connection, into oneness with himself, herself, itself, whatever you are. That's good news. That's good news. It's especially good news if things didn't go very well when you were growing up. So we give thanks that he said that to us, because there must have been fathers who were not the greatest back then too. Call no man your father on the earth. No. One. Only one is that parental source, that power that created you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Jesus. Shall we say our statement of being? God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one heart, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am the individualized expression of God, and am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance.
We're really just so happy to be here. I want to tell you that your church here, you reached out to me. My mom passed away 3 months ago, and I got a card from you guys, and it touched my heart, and I really appreciate. We're not here a lot, and you still reached out to me in my grief and everything, and I appreciate that a lot. Okay. The song we picked out today is one I'm sure you'll know. He played it on the piano a couple weeks ago, he said, and it's just a beautiful tune called His Eyes on the Sparrow. I feel discouraged? Why do the shadows come? Why does my heart feel lonely and long for heaven and home? When Jesus is my portion, my constant friend is He. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. So I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches. I know He watches.
time for our meditation. Are there any prayer requests in the box? Prayer requests. These are just the ones that are written down. But then there are so many other requests. We have them on the lists that we are sent. Our friends who are having troubles right now are often, well, we part with them by saying, I'll hold you in my thoughts and prayers. And then sometimes we remember and sometimes we forget to do that. But right now, we can take all those cares and troubles, difficulties, the ones we remember and the ones we've forgotten, the names on all the prayer lists that we have at Valley Community Church, as well as those who were on lists several months ago, or a year ago, or 2 years ago that might be experiencing exactly the same problems. We can bring them all together because God knows what those names are and what those problems are and what that weight is, that difficulty. We certainly keep in mind those who are usually in our sanctuary on Sunday morning but are not able to be with us today, in the hopes that it isn't a great difficulty that is keeping them away. We think of people we love or people we know. We gather them all in mind and place them firmly in the light of presence, the light of right now, the light of God, the light of love, the light of truth, the light of good, for they are cheek to jowl with infinite good, infinite right action, infinite perfection. And we give thanks in advance, as Jesus taught us to do. We give thanks in advance of the unfolding of blessings and healings, of solutions, insights, abundance. It's unfolding right now for them, because we are told that while we are yet speaking, the good comes forth. And the good is coming forth in and through you, through your thoughts, through your knowing the omnipresence of God. blessing to be able to do this. What a blessing to know that it works. What a blessing to expect to hear the good, to have it announced to us. Again, we give thanks in advance. And in the 90 seconds of silence that we're going to have, give thanks for the prayers already answered, the healings already taken place, the safety already bestowed, the insights already received, the problems already solved. For there is no time in God. All time is now. And in the eternal now, we know the truth of ourselves and everyone else. Come unto me, all ye who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And we come unto him, and we rest. We know we've been heard. We know those needs are met. That heavy burden is lightened. That hope and the expectation of greater good manifests in each and all. Faith. Faith that all is well on our part blesses everyone. And for this faith that resides within each and all, that transforms others' lives as well as our own, we give deepest thanks. Amen. Shall we say the Lord's Prayer? That is the affirmative version of the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed is thy name. Thy kingdom is come, thy will is done on earth as it is in heaven. Thou givest us this day our daily bread. Thou forgivest us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Thou leadest us not into temptation, but dost deliver us from all evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Well, this morning I'm going to be talking about how about tomorrow? What if somebody came to you and said that you could have a single wish, anything you personally wanted, anything. You couldn't ask for world peace or something like that. This had to be yours, just for you personally alone. Now, I want to give you just a minute or so, just a few moments, to think about what you would want if somebody said, anything you want. What would you want? And everybody, I think, has been given a card, a little card to write on. Everybody got it? Okay. Spread them around. Jot something down. There it is. Whatever you want. Okay. Most of it, you look like you finished. So, could I ask some of you to share what you would really have if somebody said, any wish you want?
I'd like to have my extended family all in one place at one time.
But I didn't hear that quite.
Yeah, I'd like to have my extended family all in one place at one time.
So that's a very worthy
We
thing.
now live in 13 of the 50 states.
Oh my. Well, that would take a bit of doing, but certainly possible. Anybody else want to share? Yeah.
To be free of pain.
To be free of pain, a very important thing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Somebody else? Yeah.
My children to realize who they are and God within them.
Beautiful. Exactly. Children to realize, actually you couldn't do that because that's for somebody else. It's got to be for you. Somebody else. Anybody.
Good health.
Good health, very, very important. That was an echo of, yes. Someone else?
Perfect health, not only physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
Health is a very, very important thing. Yeah, absolutely. Last one, maybe? Nobody wants to share. Okay, that's all right. That's fine. I thought somebody would come up with, I want $1 million. I want $5 million. That would really be nice. I could do all sorts of things with that, good things with that. Well, actually, since this is not going to happen, nobody's going to pop up and say, whatever you wish, I'll do it for you. No. But we really need to consider how and when and how we can grant ourselves some of our secret wishes, which is health in so many cases here in the room today. I'd like you to consider what you are going to be doing in 5 years. Look 5 years down the road. Look 10 years down the road. Now, if you were living in exactly the same condition, the same place, doing pretty much the same things that you're doing now in your life, would that be enough? Would you be content, happy, fulfilled, or would you look back over the past 5 years or 10 years and wish that you had spent some real time and effort to achieve something that might arouse some kind of ambition within you, or if you're in pain, to find a way out of it? Something maybe that fascinated you, a subject, something that broadened you or challenged you, maybe something you might have had a natural talent for but you never really pursued. Are there some things right now, that you'd love to do but you just don't seem to have the time to get them done, to pursue them? Is there a dream that you secretly cherish in the back of your head? Something that you thought repeatedly about, but it's never gotten past the thinking stage. Maybe there's a bucket list you have. Maybe you'd really like to experience certain things, but you've never gotten somehow the focus to make firm plans to get there or to do that. The most natural thing in the world is to expend all of our energy on today's needs. We get so involved in the routine things of the day. You gotta get the laundry done, the house gotta be straightened up and cleaned up. There are certain parts of the paper you have to read, you just have to. And then there's the emails to read, and also maybe text messages to respond to, and there's the favorite TV program, don't forget that, or programs. And suddenly you're at the end of another day, another month, another year, because things have a way of moving so quickly. A few years back, a fellow by the name of Steve, a 40-year-old software programmer for an investment firm, was living a very comfortable 6-figure salary. Very, very comfortable life. But he wasn't happy. He was not a happy person at all. Part of his discontent was his firm's attitude toward the investments they made. It made no difference whatsoever to them if it entailed clear-cutting a forest or polluting an environment. No, just as long as it made him money. That was the important thing. Steve, on the other hand, was an enthusiastic outdoorsman. He was a backpacker who got into the wilderness and backpacked as often as he could. Furthermore, his father had died at the age of 55 of a very rapid moving cancer. And that was just 15 years older than Steve was right at that time. And his father had died without doing some of the things he really wanted to do. Steve wasn't going to let that happen to him. No. He started planning to make a secret wish that he had come true. He quit his high-paying corporate job. He didn't have a wife or children. And he started a business guiding backpackers through some of the most spectacular natural areas in the country, helping them become more physically fit and giving them a new appreciation for the amazing beauty of so many areas in our country. Now, these days he earns maybe a quarter of what he made before, but he's found out he could live on that much. But he loves his life. He loves what he does every day. He gets up in the morning with nothing but enthusiasm. Don't we owe it to ourselves to make that wish, that dream, that secret desire, that ambition a reality. We can work on it all, our health and everything else. Maybe some of you aspire to be the manager, or maybe even better, the CEO of a company. Big desk, big office, big salary, big. Or maybe you would like to start your own successful business. But are you willing to work harder than you've worked before ever? Tolerate anxiety? Feel a constant pressure to produce and produce? Possibly miss family time that you would ordinarily, or even relaxation time? That's a high price. But there are people who love a challenge. And some people are kind of a competitive person, and they would take it on with gusto. And if that's the kind of person you are, then go for that big job. Take some classes, find a mentor, read some more, and map out a strategy for how you are going to plan the next 5 years to get to that goal. Maybe your secret yen is to go to Europe. 12, 14 days, something like that. See London and Paris and Rome. See Buckingham Palace and the what is it, Big Ben and the Eiffel Tower, and eat some of that wonderful food and go to Italy and see the Vatican and the great museums and the Colosseum, the whole thing. Wouldn't that be great? But, you know, a trip like that would cost, give or take, about $5,000. And that's not chump change. That's a lot. But if your plan included a way to put aside $100 a month or $75 a month, in 5 years, maybe 6, you'd be packing your bags. You would be flying across the pond. Today, for just a few minutes, think about your future. Project yourself into it. And project yourself doing, being, experiencing that secret dream, that idea that doesn't seem to want to go away. What if today was March the 3rd, 2024? Or 2029? It's even harder to imagine that, how things would be that far ahead. But ask yourself, what would I regret not having done? What do I love to do? I'm going to give you just a little while to ask yourself those questions and just jot down a couple of ideas. And this is for your eyes only. What would I regret not having done? What would I love to do? What would I regret not having done? What do I love to do? Okay. Some of you are still writing, some of you have stopped, but there was one man, Joe, who always loved music and realized it would be a total thrill to be able to sit down with a group of other musicians and play the guitar, but play it well. So he found a nice guitar that he could afford on eBay, and he got a teacher, and he started taking weekly lessons. And he faithfully practiced 30 minutes every day. It took him a little more than 3 years, but by that time he found a group, and he had the most fun making up some riffs and playing along with them, and feeling really good about his playing. There was a plan, and it was executed, and the dream came true. We can achieve so much more than we think we can. Our only limitations actually are those that we and others have programmed into our subconscious mind and into our conscious expectations. Those are the limitations, and we can overcome them. When we plan, when we believe, we can change our lives so that they reflect those secret wishes, those dreams that have yet to manifest. I started out this morning asking what you're going to choose if somebody came to you and said, any wish, just tell me what it is, and I'll make it happen. And you came up with some really good wishes. The majority of them being about health, which is central to life. Perhaps one person in 1,000 would answer, I want illumination. I want the experience of knowing God, His nature, and my own true inner nature. I want that. We're taught, and so many of us believe in this room, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. To know God to the very depths of our being would at the same time be the most humbling and the most empowering truth that we could possibly possess. It would be life transforming. You would never be the same. It would completely change what we might ordinarily have wished in our past. I really do believe that ego desires would move to the outer periphery of our thoughts or expectations, and spiritual impulses would become the center of our minds, would become the center of our lives, and we would be saying things like, thy will, thy way, thy will, thy ways all days. In other words, an affirmation that speaks to divine guidance, thy will, thy way. Divine guidance that would unfailingly lead us through the morass of choices that we have to make every day. We would automatically choose with wisdom, with an intuitive knowledge of the path that would be the most beneficial and would have the fewest unforeseen consequences, except for good consequences. Outstanding ideas would flow into our minds. Understanding, compassion, love would become the usual way of thinking and feeling rather than the sometimes way. Unfortunately, again, nobody's going to show up and say, I'll give you whatever you want, and would have the power to do it. So, why don't we start a 5-year plan that would move us closer to illumination? The fascinating thing is that as we make our spiritual dimension far more central in our lives, it has the most amazing way of attracting so much wonderful stuff to us. The best, in fact, of our human wishes. Our work life, our home life, our social life. Every dimension of our life will become more fulfilling, will become more satisfying. Nona Brooks, one of our founders, once wrote, "The practice of the presence of God is the whole of divine science." A very powerful statement. But what does practicing the presence of God mean? It can mean just talking to God. You know, we talk to ourselves all the time. We just instead of talking to ourselves, we talk to God. And that makes him much more a part of our attention in our lives. When I was taking my divine science courses out in Denver so many years ago, my teachers, our teachers would tell us, reach out after God. But what does that mean? But what if you're anxious, or you're frustrated or angry, and you just mentally sit in God's lap and feel her arms around you? It's kind of remarkable how quickly negative feelings go away. What if you're tired, really tired, but you don't seem to be able to go to sleep, and you just hug God? That helps me. It does. I seem to relax, and the next thing I know, it's morning. We are spiritual beings, but we function in our own unique human way. Some of us are more tactile. We learn best through hands-on experience. Some of us are just more visually oriented. We absorb most through what we see, and others through what they hear. Use those human senses. See God's light filling and surrounding you when you don't feel good. When things are so messed up that you don't know what you're going to do next, complain to God. He can bear it, believe me. Complain to him. But then hear God whisper, all is well. I love you. I am guiding and strengthening you. Hug God. Feel the peace, the comfort. It's powerfully soothing. How about tomorrow? That was my title this morning. We don't need a wish dispenser. We can make our good dreams and desires come true tomorrow or the day after that or 5 years from now. We can make those things a reality through planning and through steady effort. But when we practice the presence of God by talking to him and listening to him, by envisioning God's light, and by sitting on God's lap and feeling the loving comfort, those dreams, those wishes will all unfold in divine order. shall we go within and give thanks. And as the poet said, God is nearer than hands and feet and closer than breathing. He's not someplace far away, as I always thought when I was growing up and even as a young person. God is within and God is without. Because God is omnipresent and He is constantly aware and open and available to be there, to comfort, to help, to inspire, to bring forth those blessed wishes, those intriguing, exciting, fun, challenging desires of our heart. For all this infinite good awaiting your specific desire, you're working toward the understanding and the utilization of God's infinite power, God's good, God's love, God's wisdom, for all that which awaits you. Let us give thanks and accept. Accept. Thank you. Thank you, beloved Father, Mother, friend, companion, teacher. Thank you. Amen.
It's all about connection and relationship, and the synchronicity is pretty amazing, but this next song really ties in our scripture for today and what Reverend Maurita Wiggins was just talking about. It talks about God's promises of who God would be to us and that connection that we have with Jesus, that is that combination of the divine human connection. And I want to add to that really quickly a verse for you to think about, which is from 1 John 4:17. And it's talking about showing love to others. And at the end of this verse, it reminds us concerning Jesus that as He is, so are we in this world. So let's all be that connection.
I tried Him and I found His promises were true. He's everything He said that He would be. The finest words I know could not begin to tell just what Jesus really means to me. For He's more wonderful He goes beyond my highest hopes and fondest dreams. He's everything that my soul ever longed for, everything He promised, and so much more. He's more than amazing, more than marvelous, more than miraculous could ever be. He's more than wonderful. That's what Jesus is to me. I stand amazed to think the God of glory would come to live within this heart of mine. I marvel just to know He really loves me when I think of who He is and who I am. And He's more wonderful than my mind can conceive. He's more wonderful than my heart can believe. He goes beyond my highest hopes and fondest dreams. He's everything that my soul ever longed for, everything He promised, and so much more. He's more than amazing, more than marvelous, more than miraculous could ever be. He's more than wonderful. That's what Jesus is to me. To me, you see, He's everything that my soul ever longed for, everything He promised, and so much more. He's more than amazing, more than amazing, more than marvelous, more than miraculous could ever be. He's more than wonderful, more than wonderful. That's what Jesus is. That's what Jesus is. He's more than wonderful to me.
With the usher, it's time for our blessing of our gifts. Would the usher please bring up our baskets? And repeat with me. Today, I acknowledge God, omnipresent, as the source of all good, as the source of my good. With this acknowledgement, I accept His will, which is abundance and beneficence. I release all thoughts of lack and limitation, and I am open and receptive to the increased flow of of abundance to me right now. I joyfully accept the gifts of life and give freely of the special gift that I am. Through me, God omnipresent blesses and multiplies this gift for all. Thank you, dear God.
Good morning. Beautiful, beautiful music again. Thank you all. We don't get them here very often, but when they do, we do again for another day. So, anyhow, let's start out today with Birthday Sunday. It's an important day, and we're having birthday pie. Corn pie, is that correct? Oh, yes. Instead of birthday cake, so y'all better save me a piece if I'm not over there. So birthdays, let's see. DJ Barber, Gary Randolph, Elton Fields, Cynthia Greer, E.J. Brown, Stephanie Robinson, Bob Edwards, and Kathy Thomason. I think E.J. and Kathy are the only ones here, so let's see. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Happy birthday to you. All right. Okay, let's see. Be sure to, if you want to, take these orders of service. This is new order of service for March. And so take it home. It's got the events that's going on and everything else. So please be sure to take them home if you want to. We can print many more. This Thursday night is the first Thursday of the month, so we'll be having a movie as usual at 6:30. We've been showing some documentaries with Morgan Freeman about God. So we've some of us have seen them before, but some of you have not, and they're very interesting. Last about an hour, so feel free to come for that at 6:30. We usually have some popcorn or whatever. So anyhow, feel free to do that. Also, next Sunday, daylight saving times begins. So Saturday night, set that clock up an hour. You're going to lose an hour's sleep. So anyhow, I see some of you putting your teeth back there, but anyhow, I will be reminding you on a Saturday night to do that. Let's see what else we got going on here. Not next Sunday, but the Sunday after, which is 17th, and I think that's also St. Patrick's Day. We're having a baked potato luncheon like we did one other time. It's the baked potato. It's a huge baked potato with some of the fixings. The cost is $5. We do need you to sign up by next Sunday, so we'll know how many potatoes to buy. So anyhow, the sign-up list is in there in the annex. So it'll be baked potato, a drink, and dessert for $5. You can't hardly beat that anywhere. So okay. Also, we have a flower group. The flowers this week are sponsored by Gil for DJ's birthday. He's not here, so I'll be calling him to come pick those up. So, and they're very beautiful for today. My goodness gracious. The lady that does our flowers charges us $20. You can't beat that, and she delivers them to us. So we still have some openings on the flower list if you would like to buy flowers, sponsor them for somebody's birthday, or buy them for yourself, whatever. Anyhow, the church gets to use them on Sunday morning, and then you can take them home. They're just, she does a wonderful job.
Where is the flower calendar?
I have it in the back. I'll put it back in here. I had it. So
Where is it? Is it normally posted?
yeah, it's usually on the foyer bulletin board out there. Okay.
It wasn't there.
Also, as some of you know, we've started a walking group on Saturday mornings, and I'm going to announce it a couple more times, and then after that, it's kind of going to be old habit. We start at 9:30 on Saturday mornings. We've been walking on the Greenway. If it's raining or bad weather, we've been going to Tanglewood Mall. So the people that have been very religious about coming on Saturday morning, so very grateful for that. So anyhow, again, it's a Saturday mornings, 9:30. And we'll probably later on in the summer maybe move it a little bit earlier, depending on the weather. Also, maybe move to another part of the Greenway. But anyhow, right now we're starting at Black Dog Salvage, and if it's wet raining, we go to Tanglewood Mall. Also, need to. It's time for re-election of officers for the board. 2 board officers. Dale is the second vice president. He has asked not to be on the board next year. So if any, and my position, the president, is up for re-election too. So if anybody is interested in either of those positions, please let us know. But Dale definitely does not want to be on the board next year. So we definitely have to have somebody for that position. So we'd like to know by the end of March, because we have to get the ballots out for people to vote on and everything. So anyhow, we'll be talking about that again next week. And also, for those of you that do not know, we're doing Facebook Live now. So for people that, I know some people aren't here today that are watching. So if you can't be here, doesn't mean for you to stay home and watch it, just because you don't want to come to church. But anyhow, if you're sick or something, or for some reason, or if it's a good way also for some people that have always asked questions about our church, but they didn't want to come, maybe they can listen to it and maybe get an idea, say, well, maybe I do want to go there. So anyhow, I just wanted to pass that out. We've been doing that now for about a month, and so we know I've had people say, oh, I've been watching you, or I've gone back and watch it after they go to their other church or whatever. So anyhow, we're hoping that will work out, maybe get us some more people to come to church. And Rick, I know there's a program going on at the OLN today. Would you like to say a little bit about that? Because I didn't bring my notes.
I've been privileged this weekend to be part of a musical production of The Feast of Life at Our Lady of Nazareth Catholic Church right down the street. It's a gospel-based theater production. The last showing is today at 3 o'clock. Doors open at 2:30. Benefits the Ram House and Presbyterian Center. Maurita, in your talk today, you mentioned a man who took guitar lessons, learned music at a later point in his life, and you said it was a total thrill. Resonated with those words. I'm living the dream, playing music with this group. Talented musicians. The music is excellent. If you don't have plans and be interested in inspiring stage production, it's very contemporary and not stiff or formal, but very fun production. Great music, great acting. Uplifting, you'll enjoy it. Come out this afternoon, 3 o'clock.
Yeah, they had one last year, and some of us went. It was great. It was really, so if you have a chance this afternoon at 3 to go. So, did you have anything, Maurita? Okay, all right.
Our closing hymn is number 70, Deep Within. We will sing both verses. That is hymn number 70, Deep Within.
circles, connections, associations. And we are all that here in this church. But unseen and unknown for the most part, we are all that with God. And what we should, in our deepest heart, what we should wish is that connection, that oneness becomes so apparent, so real, so immediate that we carry it with us front and center, that we live it, we are it, and it is available. And we plan and we work toward that. We do the things we feel we need to do to build toward that moment of full realization. And we give thanks in advance that it is coming forth for each and all. Amen.
Amen.